Fresh off the Duke football bye week, we're starting another week here on Locked On Blue Devils with our typical Mailbag Monday. A lot of great questions. 6 games completed for this Duke football team. What's to come? All that and more coming up on today's episode of Locked On Blue Devils.
You are Locked On Blue Devils, your daily podcast on the Duke Blue Devils. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, everybody, and welcome into another episode of the Locked On Blue Devils podcast. My name is JJ Jackson. So great to have you here with us on Monday, October 14th, 2024. Locked On Blue Devils is your one-stop shop where we discuss everything going on in the life of Duke athletics. What a great Friday show it was, recapping the Boozer twin commitment to Duke men's basketball and a full weekend without Duke football in our lives as the Blue Devils had the week off. They're back in competition this week, of course. We talk about all of those things here on Locked On Blue Devils. If you have not done so already, please be sure to follow and subscribe to Locked On Blue Devils for free, wherever it is that you get your podcasts. Leave us a 5-star rating and written review. Go ahead and like this video if you're watching it on YouTube. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Comment down below as we go throughout this Mailbag Monday today, answering the questions that you like. And appreciate the support as always, as our good pal Josh Cox from Duke Football Talks Section 17 podcast is going to be here with us on today's show. Follow us on X at LO_Blue Devils, and I'm there as well at _JJ_Jackson_. So without further ado, let's bring him on into today's show. It's Josh Cox back with us. And man, I hope that you were able to enjoy your weekend without a little Duke football in your life, pal.
I didn't know what to do with myself, JJ, to be honest with you. No, it's obviously Duke gets the bye week, a time to kind of regroup. And so, for me and everything that I do, it was also kind of a weekend to just get a chance to regroup. And so, it was a lot of fun.
We love it. All right, so we've got the mailbag back today, Mailbag Monday. We're going to talk about Duke football. They're coming off of a bye week. They're also going to have to bounce back from their first loss of the season. So we'll get into some of those questions. Our first question here today is a quick one, Josh, that I'm making up right now. Celebrating the Boozer twins. Could they go out and play football for this Duke squad, man?
I mean, speaking of Duke football, I'd throw one of those guys as a defensive end. I'd probably put the other one at tight end, and we'd be all right. We'd be okay on the football side, right? But no, that's major news for Duke basketball, and as you've already discussed Friday. But this was something that, from everything that I've heard, early on was Duke. This was a Duke lock. And then Miami became a real player towards the end, and then it really became a toss-up. And you even saw on like the 24/7 crystal balls, guys were giving it like a 6, on their confidence rating. So it's a big get for Coach Shire and his staff. And it's they are the pieces you're going to build, next season's roster around. Just like this season, this roster is being built around certain players. And so just the way it is. And so welcome to Duke, and ready for Boozer 2.0.
We're ready for it. Excited to have that take place. All right, so we'll get into the football questions that were sent today. LockedOnBlueDevils@gmail.com. Any emailed questions that you want to send us, or on X, again, at LO_Blue Devils. And I'm known to pick some questions from the comment section on YouTube videos as well. So, Josh, as we take a look at this, our first question comes in and someone asks, who has been your breakout player for Duke football so far? I'd say Star Thomas is where I want to go. Just the offseason hype. We're talking a whole lot about Jacquez Moore taking over that lead back spot. Obviously, he's set back by the injury. And, oh, my goodness, to watch Star Thomas run the football and what he's meant for the Duke football team.
Definitely one of the success stories of the transfer portal, right? And understanding, what his role was going to be coming into the season, a definite running back 2 position, behind Jacquez Moore. And then, this is the way football works. It's why you recruit depth. It's why you set up your 1, 2, 3, and 4 really in your running back room, is because inevitably something's going to happen throughout the season, and it happened early, with Jacquez going down. And so, Star Thomas has been a breath of fresh air. got his legs under him, had what really has been two really, really standout games, and it's been solid, in the other games. And so that is not where I went.
Okay, tell me your
JJ.
breakout player
It's
then.
not where I went. First of all, I'm going to give you a honorable mention.
Okay.
All right, and I'm going to give you – I was prepared for this one. Full disclosure, guys, JJ did send me this question in advance. So I'm prepared for it. I'm going to give you an offensive player and a defensive player.
Okay.
And then I'm going to give you an honorable mention on either one too.
Okay.
Why not?
A lot of people getting shout outs. Go for it.
Yeah. Offensive side of the football. Caleb Kring's honorable mention. He is a offensive lineman who transferred in from Elon. And JJ, I've got to be honest with you. I spent more time around the program in the offseason, I feel like, than I have during the season, right? So I was around. There was no hype about Caleb Krings. There was no like, oh, watch out, like this guy's going to be the sleeper. So all Caleb Krings did is earn a starting left guard position and is not giving it up. And my man is on made a PFF list. So that's my honorable mention, right? No
Number
name
71
guy
on your TV screens.
There you go.
71.
Coming from Elon in the transfer portal. But my guy that I gave it to was Eli Pankow. Eli Pankow has been my offensive breakout player of the season so far. He's got 23 receptions, 294 yards, 5 touchdowns. Okay, so let me break that down in perspective for you. This is 6 games in, right? We have 6 more games. So we were only halfway through the season. Eli Pankow is 1 reception away from his career high in reception totals. He's 53 yards away from his career high in yardage. And get this, JJ, his 5 touchdowns this season matches his career total
from every year combined
previously. So I've got to give it to Eli Pankow. And then I think if you're a Duke football fan and you followed the career of Eli Pankow, you could not be happier for the season that he's having. And so that's my guy on offense. On defense, my honorable mention is VJ Anthony.
Okay.
There's been a lot of hype around VJ Anthony being a Durham kid. He's now in his 3rd season. Came in as a freshman, very kind of skinny, and he was tall but skinny and really filled out. And my man, I don't have his stats sitting in front of me, but his stats this season speak for themselves. That's my honorable mention. My guy I'm giving it to on the defensive side of the football is Cameron Bergeron. He stepped in he stepped in that, like, really what Cam Bergeron is a hybrid. He stepped in for Brandon Johnson in his spot, the nickel, last season. But really, Bergeron is a little bit of a hybrid. Like, he's kind of a safety corner linebacker mix. And so he has 32 tackles on the season, 7 tackles for loss, 1.5 sacks, and 2 pass breakups. And so he's all over the place. Every single week, if you look at who's leading Duke in tackles, Cam Bergeron's in that top 1, 2, or 3. Yeah, and that's once again a guy who just hadn't gotten the snaps. He hadn't had the reps. Yet, and he's got him, and he's proving himself. So those are my guys: Eli Pankow on the offensive side, Cam Bergeron on the defensive side.
Let us know in the comments down below, if you're watching with us on YouTube, who is your breakout player so far for the Duke football team. The Blue Devils coming off a bye week, 5-1 overall on the season. They're 1-1 in the ACC. We'll step aside for a quick timeout. Our conversation continues in a moment. Locked On Blue Devils here today is brought to you by our friends over at LinkedIn. When you're hiring for your small business, you want to find quality professionals that are right for the role. That's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs has the tools to help find the right professionals for your team faster and for free. LinkedIn isn't just a job board. It helps you hire professionals you can't find anywhere else, even those who aren't actively searching for a new job but might be open to the perfect role. In a given month, over 70% of LinkedIn users don't visit other leading job sites. So if you're not looking on LinkedIn, you're looking in the wrong place. Over 86% of small businesses get a qualified candidate within 24 hours when they use LinkedIn. Hire professionals like a professional on LinkedIn. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. That's linkedin.com/lockedoncollege to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. And we're back here on Locked On Blue Devils. JJ Jackson alongside Josh Cox from Duke Football Talks Section 17 podcast. Tell us about your podcast, Josh.
Yeah, so the guys, me and 3 of my friends, man, we started a podcast a few years ago. We cover Duke football. If you've not subscribed or you don't follow along yet, we would love for you to come over and be a part of the community. We appreciate Locked On and all their support in promoting what we do. But we take deep dives into Duke football. And so we're wherever you find podcasts, YouTube, Apple, Spotify, anything else. And then we have a Facebook group. You can look for Duke Football Talk there. But we would love to have you come over. And I know this isn't a Friday, but I know we highlight some 5-star Fridays every now and then. But 5-star ratings and reviews for Locked On would definitely be appreciated, as well as on our podcast. So we really appreciate the support from the Duke community.
Without a doubt, excited to continue our conversation here today, and excited to promote the great work that Josh and his friends do over at Duke FB Talk in the Section 17 podcast. Let's keep it moving with our show here today, Josh, with this mailbag. How would you grade Manny Diaz's coaching job so far?
Yeah, so I'm gonna say if we're going actual grade.
I'm giving him an A, man. I'm giving him an A.
That's where I'm going. I was going to go A or A minus, and I'm going to tell you the only reason why I'm not an A plus. Right? That's what I was getting to here is, first of all, in August, if you and we sat here and we spoke about what the Duke season would look like, right? And we talked about predictions, and we talked about where Duke could be and whatever. 5-1 with a victory over UNC. That right there earns you an A.
Yeah.
Okay, that right there earns you an A. The only reason why it's not an A plus, and I have to just be honest there, is probably the style points. Duke is winning. They've won 5 out of 6 football games, but I believe that the offense has left a lot on the table. And there's some, I believe we're actually going to get into a couple of maybe one of the elements there. So I would say that's the only reason why it's not an A plus, is because we're 5-1, and those 5 wins, not all 5 of them have been probably at the level or caliber of what Duke could have done. Agreed. And so that's the only reason why it's not A plus.
Agreed. I'm a big fan of what Manny Diaz has been able to do to start
Absolutely.
So far. You've got to be just impressed. Let us know in the comments what you guys think as well. All right, so similar, Manny Diaz is new on the job, getting used to him wearing the Duke gear, and it's been fun 6 weeks in, as has the quarterback, Maalik Murphy. That's our next question. Someone wrote in, Josh, and wanted to ask, are you surprised Duke has not tried to run Maalik Murphy really at all this season?
I am not surprised by the question.
Yeah.
Because our podcast takes mail questions every week.
Everyone wants to know, man.
Lord have mercy. we have had a lot of these questions. All right, so let me say first of all that I don't have any direct communication, or I don't abuse my connection to like a Jonathan Brewer, who is Duke's offensive coordinator, right? Johnny's a great dude, awesome guy. But I'm not the guy that's like, hey, what's going on? You know what I mean? Like I'm just not gonna do that. And then on the professional side, on the media side, the furthest that we've gotten is one of our guys asked, Coach Brewer a question a couple of weeks ago about the Henry Beelan wrinkle potentially. And we were quickly told, Maalik Murphy is the guy. He is the starting quarterback. So anyway, I preface my answer by saying that I don't know or understand why Maalik Murphy does not run the football. I've seen him run in practice as far as like actual run. Like, it's not that he's like super slow per se. And here's the thing. You don't have to be fast to be an effective running quarterback, right? Especially when you're that size. Here's something to just food for thought. I don't know how public it got, but I know that there was a little bit of this chirping from spring. When Maalik first arrived on campus, he had to get some cleanup work done on his foot.
Yeah.
And that, obviously it did not necessarily hinder him, but I don't know. Like, I don't know what goes on in the psyche. Yeah. I don't know what goes on in the psyche of a young man. The one time that Maalik tucked it and ran this season was in the Northwestern game, and he got popped really big and actually fumbled the football. He was ruled down, so it did not count against Duke. But I don't know. And so, do I think Maalik Murphy has an elite enough arm to overcome that? Yes. Has he shown the ability to win those difficult football games only using his arm? It's yet to be seen, in my opinion. We really could have used his legs in the Georgia Tech game. So the answer is Maalik Murphy is not a running quarterback.
Sure.
Evidently, it's nothing that Duke is willing to make him forcefully do. And so at this point, it's just a matter of getting your timing right with your passing game, making sure you continue to protect him as a pocket passer, and then make sure the receivers get separation and catch the difficult passes. And so that's all you can do from our perspective. None of us and no one other than the coaching staff and the players are in control of this. And so, I don't know. I would definitely say I don't believe any offensive coordinator in the country is going to choose himself to not run his quarterback, right?
Yeah.
So there has to be something with either Maalik's skill set or something there, and I have no idea. But all that to say, he's not running, and I don't think it's going to start in week 8 just because, and it hadn't done it in the first 7 weeks, right?
Yeah, I would say I'm a little surprised because, again, not that he was labeled as this big running dual threat type of quarterback, but it's just been so minimal to start the year. And in a lot of ways, Josh, you look at the last few weeks, his completion percentage hasn't been in the best spots. And so in some areas where, you're getting some throwaways or a little bit off target throws and opportunities there to maybe pick up a couple of yards, live to see another day and not feel so far behind the sticks. I don't know. I've never played quarterback at the D1 level. Just an observation that I've started to make throughout the year.
And just a surprise to those of you watching or listening, neither have I. I'm not sure if you
breaking some news here.
Breaking news. No, but I would say this, man. Duke is a high-level football program. Everything we're talking about has been and is being regurgitated and spoken about. I mean, it's not like the things that we're seeing right from the outside perspective are not already known inside. And I can promise you that Duke is working through everything that they can to put the best possible team on the field. No one is trying to hamper wins and losses, right? So they want Duke to win. Every single person, player, staffer, everything. And so, whatever they can do collectively to put the best product on the field, I can assure you that's what's taking place. And so, if that means that Duke is operating without a mobile quarterback, so be it. Just the other elements of the game, they got to continue to improve.
All right, so how are we feeling about the last 6 games of the season? And a few more thoughts that will wrap up our Mailbag Monday episode of Locked On Blue Devils when we come back here in just a moment. Locked On Blue Devils is brought to you by our friends at Game Time. Game Time is the best place to go when you're looking for tickets. Their new feature called Game Time Picks makes getting tickets to see your favorite teams play live even easier. It filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. I love the seat views from within the app where you can get a panoramic view from your seat in the app before you buy. Big fan of the lowest price guarantee, or Game Time's going to credit you 110% of the difference. Go ahead and take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time Picks. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game Time, a proud sponsor of Locked On Blue Devils. We're back. We're moving forward. Josh Cox is here. You can follow him on X at Joshua Cox. At Duke FB Talk is how to get plugged in and involved with his show. All right, let's take a look at these mailbag questions. Just a few more left, Josh. And someone wants to know, what is Duke's realistic best-case scenario record-wise for the second half of the season? Starting with this Friday, Duke's got the Friday night game coming up against Florida State.
Yeah. Man, that's a tough way to word that question. This listener is putting me in a bad spot. What is the best case scenario? Yeah. I mean, the best case scenario is Duke wins every football game. That's the best case scenario. And I can promise you this, Manny Diaz and the players in that locker room, absolutely week by week, think they can win every football game, including the game at Miami. Okay, like they believe that. So
11
I'm
and
not
1,
gonna.
a spot in the ACC
There you
championship,
go. I'm
college
not.
football playoff.
You know, I'm not going to be the guy to say they can't do that. Now, to be my logical, realistic self, I believe a best case scenario would be like a 9-win
Yeah.
season. So that would mean, 4 more victories inside of these last 6 games. I think that would be absolute best case scenario. I think if you look at, let's just call the Miami game, a very difficult one to win. And then you look at one of SMU or maybe Virginia Tech, right? NC State, who knows? All those games are toss-up games.
Yeah.
Every single one of them. SMU, Florida State. I mean, listen, I understand what Florida State's record is, but I also understand this. Those guys have a lot of pride, and that locker room's got talent in it. And they're coming off a bye week, just like Duke's coming off a bye week. You never know. You never know. I mean, could this be the first time in program history that Duke defeats Florida State? Yes.
We hope so. Yeah.
It's been 22 straight that we've lost. But we could absolutely go into that game, and Duke could absolutely lose it. Like, it could happen. So I say 9 wins would be optimal and would be a really good place. No fewer than 7. That's just me. But hey, listen, college football can be a crazy world.
And looking at these games, I mean, and coming off again the first loss of the season at Georgia Tech, that's important to point out. Duke did have road non-conference games in true settings at Northwestern, at MTSU. It's just a little bit different when you're playing these conference football games, when teams have had more and more film to take a look at and scout you on. Like, that's challenging, man. Any time to go out and try and win on the road is just incredibly, incredibly challenging for them to do.
Yeah, and Duke also, and I don't know if it's just Duke. It seems like it, and maybe it's because I don't really. I do watch college football, but I don't pay close attention to everybody else in college football. It's impossible to do. But Duke seems to struggle on these turf fields, what's going on, what goes on in Atlanta there at Georgia Tech. You see guys, that stumble or slip and fall, or I saw Sean Brown returning a punt, and literally what would be on regular grass, he would make one jab step and cut up the field. He was literally tiptoeing to catch his balance so he wouldn't slip and fall before he made his cut up the field. Whatever. All that to say, Duke goes on the road to a place like Atlanta, doesn't play well.
Yeah.
So you have the crowd, the ACC, and the different playing surface there working against you. And so, whatever. Duke's got to overcome that. That can't be an excuse because other teams have to do the same thing. But it is the reality of what they're facing.
Without a doubt. All right, let's keep this moving. Last question on our mailbag today. Someone writes in and asks, do you like that there are 2 bye weeks for the Duke football season, or do you prefer just to be one? I know the football team probably enjoys having a second off week, Josh. I personally don't like it. Every time we get to bye weeks, just had one this past week. It's great. We can watch college football, enjoy all the other games, not have to worry about our favorite team and kind of stressing as a fan through all of it. But then the reality is I get to those Saturdays like this past one, Josh, and I miss our guys. I'm I hate this. Got to wait a whole week anytime your team has the bye week come up on the schedule.
I mean, you hit the nail on the head. The program, the team itself absolutely loves having the extra bye week. A bye week affords you the option of a couple of things, right? Well, first of all, it allows your coaches, and I don't want to speak out of turn here, when applicable and fair and within the bounds of the rules, they can focus a little bit on the roster outside of this season.
Yeah.
Is that fair to say?
Yeah.
They can focus a little bit on those types of things during this bye week. Second thing, you get some players that may have been banged up and have played through bang ups. For instance, Jordan Moore. I think it's pretty obvious he's been a little bit banged up the last couple of weeks. It allows those guys to really get treatment, really get some time focused on getting their bodies back to where they need to be. And then you have the reset button a little bit of okay, what's been working and what hasn't been working. and why has that not been working, right? What can we do to make this element of our football team function at a higher level? And so the bye week allows you time for that. When you're playing game after game after game, I mean, legitimately, they kind of try to give these guys a little bit of a Sunday breather, but they're coming back in Sunday evening, Monday. I mean, and it's right to the next game. There is no time for any of that stuff. And so that it allows you that. And so I think it's a good thing. I once again, as a fan, 100% agree with you. The second bye week's like, man, another weekend without my team playing football. But once again, for the overall health of the program and of the team and the players, the second bye is a good thing.
All right. We love it. Excited to see Duke back in action on Friday. So we don't have to wait for a bye week this week. We get to watch them play. There is still one to come on the schedule a little bit later. And Josh, really enjoyed getting to run through this mailbag with you. Thanks for the time once again on being on the show. And we'll do this again soon. Okay.
All right, JJ. Have a great day, man. We'll see you.
All right. That's Josh Cox joining us here on today's episode of Locked On Blue Devils. And thank you to everyone who sent in questions for this Mailbag Monday. Duke back in action coming up on Friday against Florida State. Let's hope they can get the win for the first time ever over the Seminoles on the football field. That'll do it for today's show. As always, go Duke. I'll talk to you tomorrow. My name is JJ Jackson. Thank you and good day.